If you're over 60 and you're noticing more hair in the sink, more scalp showing, or your hair just isn't what it used to be, listen very carefully because this is not about genetics and it's not about aging the way you've been told. Hair loss is a nutritional problem first, and one of the fastest ways to turn this around is by changing what you eat in the morning. There is one breakfast food in particular that most people have either removed from their diet or are eating the wrong way, and that's exactly why the hair follicles are starving. Hair is made primarily of protein, but not just any protein. Your hair follicles require sulfur, zinc, iron, biotin, B12, and fat-soluble vitamins to stay in the growth phase. When those nutrients drop, hair doesn't just thin slowly, it switches off. After 60, stomach acid decreases, digestion weakens, and nutrient absorption goes down, so even if you're eating enough calories, your follicles are still deficient. The food I'm talking about is whole eggs, especially the yolk. The yolk is where the real power is. It contains biotin in its natural form, which directly supports keratin production. It contains cholesterol, which your body uses to make vitamin D and hormones that regulate hair growth. It contains sulfur, one of the most overlooked minerals for strong, thick hair. Without sulfur, hair becomes weak, brittle, and falls out early. Now, here's the critical part. Many people over 60 are eating egg whites only, thinking they're being healthy, but that actually makes the problem worse. Egg whites contain avidin, which binds to biotin and prevents absorption unless the yolk is present. So you're unknowingly blocking one of the key nutrients your hair desperately needs. When you eat whole eggs in the morning, you stabilize blood sugar. That's extremely important because high insulin and high cortisol directly shrink hair follicles. A protein and fat-based breakfast sends a signal to your body that it's safe to grow, repair, and regenerate. Hair growth is a luxury function. Your body will not prioritize it if blood sugar is unstable or if nutrients are missing. Another benefit is choline, which supports liver function. A sluggish liver means excess hormones like DHT aren't cleared efficiently, and DHT is one of the biggest drivers of hair loss as we age. By supporting the liver, you're indirectly protecting your hairline and scalp density. Cooking matters too. Lightly cooked eggs are best. Overcooking damages the fats and reduces nutrient availability. Pairing eggs with healthy fats like grass-fed butter or avocado increases absorption of fat-soluble vitamins that nourish the scalp. Avoid pairing them with sugar, juice, or refined bread because that spike in glucose cancels out the benefit. If you do this consistently, you're feeding the follicle directly. You're giving it the raw materials it needs to stay in the growth phase longer, to produce thicker strands, and to reduce excessive shedding. Hair loss doesn't happen overnight, and it doesn't reverse overnight either, but when you correct the deficiency at the root, the body responds quickly, especially when you stop blocking the process with the wrong breakfast choices. This isn't about adding another supplement. It's about restoring a missing signal that your body used to get naturally. When the follicle finally gets what it needs, it doesn't need to be forced, stimulated, or shocked into growing. It simply does what it was designed to do. Hair loss after 60 is primarily driven by nutrient deficiencies, not just aging or genetics, even though most people are told to accept thinning hair as a normal part of getting older. The truth is that hair follicles are living, active structures that require a constant supply of specific nutrients to stay in the growth phase. As we age, the body's ability to absorb and utilize these nutrients declines, especially when digestion weakens and stomach acid levels drop. This means that even if a person is eating enough food, the hair follicles may still be starving at a cellular level. One of the biggest issues after 60 is reduced protein absorption. Hair is made mostly of keratin, a protein that depends on amino acids and sulfur to stay strong. When protein digestion becomes inefficient, the body redirects available amino acids to more vital organs like the heart and brain, leaving hair growth unsupported. At the same time, deficiencies in biotin, zinc, iron, and vitamin B12 become more common. And each of these plays a direct role in follicle strength, blood flow to the scalp, and the ability of hair to regenerate. Another overlooked factor is fat-soluble vitamin deficiency. Vitamins A, D, E, and K require dietary fat and proper bile production for absorption. After 60, bile flow often decreases, impairing absorption and leading to dry scalp, brittle hair, and increased shedding. Vitamin D deficiency alone has been strongly associated with hair thinning because it helps regulate the hair growth cycle. Blood sugar instability also contributes to nutrient-related hair loss. Diets high in refined carbohydrates and low in protein cause insulin spikes, which increase cortisol levels. Elevated cortisol shifts the body into survival mode, where hair growth becomes a low priority. Over time, this hormonal stress shrinks hair follicles and shortens the growth phase, leading to thinner strands and increased hair fall. Genetics may influence susceptibility, but they do not determine the outcome on their own. Genes are activated or silenced by nutritional and metabolic conditions. When the body lacks the raw materials needed for repair and regeneration, genetic tendencies toward hair thinning become more pronounced. By correcting nutrient deficiencies and improving absorption, the body can often slow, stop, or even partially reverse age-related hair loss because the follicle is no longer operating in a state of chronic deficiency. Hair follicles require biotin, sulfur, zinc, iron, B12, and healthy fats to stay in the growth phase because hair is one of the most nutrient-demanding tissues in the body. Each follicle goes through cycles of growth, rest, and shedding, and the moment key nutrients become limited, the follicle exits the growth phase prematurely. This is why deficiencies don't just slow growth, they actively trigger hair thinning and excessive shedding. Biotin plays a central role in keratin production, the structural protein that gives hair its strength and elasticity. Without adequate biotin, hair strands become weak, thin, and prone to breakage. Sulfur is just as critical because it forms the bonds that hold keratin together. Low sulfur levels lead to fragile hair that lacks resilience and density. Zinc is essential for cell division and tissue repair, both of which are constantly happening in the hair follicle. When zinc is deficient, follicles struggle to regenerate properly and hair growth becomes patchy or sparse. Iron is responsible for delivering oxygen to the scalp through red blood cells. Hair follicles are extremely sensitive to oxygen levels, and even mild iron deficiency can reduce blood flow to the follicle, shortening the growth cycle. This is especially common in older adults, where absorption decreases and chronic low iron often goes unnoticed. Vitamin B1, 2 supports nerve function and DNA synthesis, both of which are required for rapid cell turnover in the hair root. A B12 deficiency can slow follicle activity and lead to diffuse thinning across the scalp. Healthy fats are the delivery system that makes many of these nutrients usable. Fat-soluble vitamins and hormone production both depend on adequate dietary fat. Without healthy fats, the scalp becomes dry, inflamed, and poorly nourished. Inflammation around the follicle restricts growth and accelerates shedding. Fats also support cell membranes, allowing nutrients to enter the follicle efficiently. These nutrients work together, not in isolation. A deficiency in one creates a bottleneck that disrupts the entire growth process. When the follicle consistently receives biotin, sulfur, zinc, iron, B12, and healthy fats, it remains in the growth phase longer, produces thicker strands, and resists premature shedding because the biological environment finally supports regeneration instead of survival. Whole eggs, especially the yolk, provide critical nutrients that directly support hair strength and regrowth because they contain a unique combination of proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals that hair follicles depend on to function properly. The yolk is not just a source of calories, it is a concentrated package of bioavailable nutrients that the body can absorb and use efficiently, which is especially important as digestion and nutrient absorption decline with age. Egg yolks one of the richest natural sources of biotin, a vitamin essential for keratin production. Keratin forms the structural framework of each hair strand, and when biotin levels are low, hair becomes thin, brittle, and prone to falling out. The sulfur-containing amino acids found in eggs further strengthen keratin by forming the bonds that give hair its durability and elasticity. Without sufficient sulfur, hair loses its structural integrity and sheds more easily. The fat content in the yolk plays a crucial role in hormone balance and nutrient absorption. Cholesterol from egg yolks is not harmful in this context. It is a building block for vitamin D and steroid hormones that influence the hair growth cycle. Vitamin D helps regulate follicle activity, and deficiencies have been closely linked to hair thinning and slowed regrowth. Eggs also contain vitamin A in a natural form that supports sebum production, keeping the scalp moisturized and preventing dryness that can interfere with healthy hair growth. Egg yolks provide zinc and iron in forms that are easier for the body to absorb compared to many plant sources. These minerals support blood flow and oxygen delivery to the scalp, ensuring follicles receive the energy they need to remain active. Choline, another key nutrient found in egg yolks, supports liver function, which helps the body process hormones efficiently. When hormones such as DHT are not properly cleared, they can contribute to follicle shrinkage and hair thinning. Unlike isolated supplements, whole eggs deliver these nutrients in their natural ratios, allowing them to work together synergistically. This combination helps keep hair follicles in the growth phase longer, improves strand thickness, and supports natural regrowth by addressing multiple nutritional needs at the same time, rather than targeting just one deficiency. Egg yolks supply natural biotin, cholesterol, and sulfur, all essential for keratin production because they provide the foundational building blocks that hair follicles need to create strong, resilient strands. Keratin is the primary structural protein in hair, and its quality depends entirely on the availability of these nutrients at the follicle level. When even one of them is lacking, keratin production becomes inefficient, resulting in weaker hair that grows slowly and sheds easily. Biotin is a key cofactor in the enzymes that convert amino acids into keratin. Without enough biotin, this process becomes disrupted, and the hair shaft forms with structural defects. This leads to hair that appears thin, dull, and fragile. Unlike synthetic supplements, the biotin found in egg yolks comes in a natural, food-based form that is more easily recognized and utilized by the body, especially in individuals with reduced digestive efficiency. Sulfur is another critical component of keratin, responsible for forming disulfide bonds that give hair its strength and elasticity. These bonds determine how well hair resists break, acheage, and mechanical stress. Low sulfur availability results in hair that snaps easily, lacks body, and struggles to maintain length. Egg yolks provide sulfur-rich amino acids that directly feed this process, reinforcing the internal structure of the hair shaft from the root upward. Cholesterol in egg yolks is often misunderstood, yet it plays a vital role in hair health. Cholesterol is a precursor for vitamin D and steroid hormones that regulate the hair growth cycle. Vitamin D helps activate hair follicles and maintain them in the growth phase, while balanced hormone production supports consistent regeneration. Without adequate cholesterol, these processes become compromised, leading to slower growth and increased shedding. In addition, the fat matrix of the yolk enhances absorption of these nutrients and supports cell membrane integrity within the follicle. Healthy cell membranes allow efficient nutrient exchange and protect the follicle from inflammation and oxidative stress. By supplying biotin, sulfur, and cholesterol together in a naturally balanced form, egg yolks support optimal keratin production, resulting in thicker strands, improved strength, and a more resilient hair growth cycle.